Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Customs on the YouTube. Dave here, the garage, Area 51. Windlace things that go inside the door jambs. I'm gonna have a look at these today because one of them's serviceable, just needs a clean up and a clean out and paint. Other one is pretty roached, so have a look at that. So I've got to figure out how to make something like that. So yeah, let's get into it. So last video we were farting around with the bows and the bow clips and stuff, and they're all still just sitting in there, so that worked hopefully. Now these pieces here, these are part of the windlace sort of system, which windlace, for those of you who don't know, you probably do, but it's this stuff and that kind of goes up around the doors and down the sides of the doors down here sort of thing. And this section here, from here to here, is the windlace is kind of pinched into that crusty, rusty thing there. You can see the remnants of the old windlace, and there's a little hole there, and it screws in various spots on the in a jam here somewhere, like I'm assuming through that hole there. And there will have to be some new holes drilled, or a new hole drilled for the bottom, because that bottom brace is new. I replaced those, but I haven't drilled any holes to screw into. So, and then up the top there, that bit goes in there like that. But as you can see, it sort of is pretty huckery. And down the bottom, my cable kind of holdery thing is now interfering with the bottom of them, and that's not a problem. I can drill new holes and shorten it slightly, so that's okay. But kind of task of the day, and it will probably take me a day easily, is to try and figure out how to make something like that and attach it onto this piece here. So it's more the channel and the curve that I'm trying to achieve. Kind of got a couple of ideas of how I might kind of go about it. It won't be exactly the same. Like, I don't think I'll be able to get this kind of little kind of horse clip type scenario, but if I can get something that I can then squeeze up onto the windlace, we might be in the money, you know. So we'll try it anyway. So it's only steel, time, no money involved in it, so that's all good. So first step is I probably want to maybe sort of straighten these out a bit, kind of get them so, you know, I've got the good base platform to work with. You know what I'm saying? And even a bit up here. Yeah, that should do it for now. This other one isn't too bad, it's just a bit crusty at the bottom, but we may end up cutting a bit off the bottom anyway and drilling new holes to screw it onto the inner jam. But this one here is in sort of much better condition, the passenger side. All I have to do is kind of clean out all the remnants of the old windlace out of it, and it's a bit squished down the bottom there, but we'll straighten that out. So I might do that first, actually clean this one out, pick out that bent in bit there and just get it to where it's nice and fits properly. So this will be my kind of baseline one, you know. Straightening up all right, but she's pretty crusty in here as well, but it'll probably be okay once it's been treated. There's a good noise, eh? You know, and as long as I can pickle this out without blowing it apart. So I'll just carry on, get all this cleaned out, and then we'll go and have a look and see how she fits. Okay, so this is the location of this said piece. Goes in something like that, and as you can see, it sits just a scotch too high, so I'm just going to trim a tiny bit off the bottom of it just to clear this thing here. Actually, it probably could almost fit in there as it is, but I'm just going to clearance it by about that much, and maybe just drill a new hole about there, just a wee bit higher, clear that area. Oh, there's like the hole that it's supposed to screw into. Yeah, I'll still drill a new hole, that'll be alright. Okay, so just kind of holding it in place here, just lined up these holes down the bottom. Probably didn't need to actually take much off of that. I just needed to break this cable tie that was holding my cables through one of the holes that it's got a screw to. So as you can see, hopefully it goes in there, there and there. Once it's screwed down flush, it should be fairly flush with the actual door jamb itself. Probably could do with a little bit of a tweak into there, maybe a touch. A little tiny bend there. Yeah. And it's like it needs just a little bit there, just to get it to sit more down. It might be different once it's all screwed in, but yeah, it's probably alright. Once it's down, yeah, that'll be alright. Won't even notice a little gap. I could spend hours farting around trying to get it sitting completely flush, but at this point that side's kind of pretty good. Now this side here, whole different animal. As we showed earlier, you know, she's pretty rusty. When I was wire wheeling this, it did open up a bit along that edge there, but that'll be okay. What I got to try and do is now make one of these channels. So I've got some electric galv, so that's going to be my start point. Trying to drop that on my safety footwear, and yeah, so I'm just going to clear off this bench a little bit, and then we'll start kind of mapping this out, see if what we can do. If I cut it kind of oversized, could I run it through the bead roller and get some of that little profile on the edge? Maybe. But then how am I going to fold it? Can I use the press, make up a little thing and just work my way along it, or wrap around a piece of 3mm 1/8 inch plate and just hammer it over it? Not sure yet, but we'll have a think. Alright, get a rough measure of this. That's a good one. I don't want to start making a reproduction of that. I'll get that out the way. This is the one I've got to do some work with. So we've got, say, 55 to there. So if we go a piece about maybe 750. And we don't need a hell of a lot, but I want to cut a little bit extra so I can trim it back. So we'll probably just go maybe about 35, 40 mil. I'll cut that out and we'll go from there. Okay, so just doing a bit of a measure. The inside measurement in here is 1/4 inch, so it's actually more to it than I thought, thickness wise, you know. And then height, including that kind of like little ripple in it, is a bit more than that. How could I make that little ripple? There's a line through there, and about 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch through there. If I fold that up, actually I might scrape that, centre it a little bit better. Go through there, like so. It's probably not any better than the other side, but maybe a little more. And go 1/4 inch on my inside. Another 1/4 inch really. Okay, so just got my old Eastwood bead roller out. No sponsorship, just because that's what it is. There we go. Just going to try something. I'm not sure. I'm not terribly experienced with the old bead roller, so I'm not sure if it'll work. I just want to try a couple of little test things and see if I can make something that'll maybe work. That could be a goer, sort of. Just going to tip that up that way. It's making my head hurt. Tips up that way. And then I fold it. And then I've got to kink that back somehow. I don't know. Yeah, no, maybe not so much. I'm going to do this. Okay, I don't know if this is the right approach. Not after cutting it. Probably should have tried doing that sort of stuff before I cut it. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have a reset and rethink. Okay, so just kind of flattening it out again with this little slip roller that my brother-in-law gave us. It's pretty pitted and whatnot, but it actually does do what it's supposed to do. I mean, if you're doing real nice finished aluminium, you probably maybe wouldn't use this, but for what I'm doing, it seems to work pretty good. Alright, start again. Okay, so take two. What I think I'm going to do is use my sheet metal folder, which actually consists of some 1x2 RHS with a bolt through two of them and a vise, and see if we can kind of hammer this over. The only thing is this doesn't give a very sharp kind of internal corner, but it might not be a problem. Getting it all set up might be a problem though. Okay, so got this clamped in here with a couple of woodworking clamps and vise and whatnot. I don't know why, but I don't know whether that's got a crooked cut to start with or what, but she's a bit off. But so I just got to start knocking. Okay, so it actually, yeah, there's a bit of curve in it. That kind of happens. I think you stretch out that side of it somewhat. So what I've got to try and do now is kind of bend this over there somehow. I'm going to do this. Okay, so I'm at this point with a sheet metal thing that I'm now going, have I completely screwed the pooch, or is this redeemable in some way? At this point I still don't know, but I'm going to keep trying. Got a metal chisel and this little angle iron doohickey off my press. And I'm going to see if I can accumulate more crap on the bench to make this even more difficult. See if I can use the chisel to kind of start getting the inner 90 that I need, you know, gentle persuasion. Okay, so not the end of the world yet. Obviously can't get it kind of flat across the bottom the way I was kind of intending, but it is kind of starting to go the way I want it to, strangely enough, just through sheer fluke, no good management whatsoever. Oh, hang on, that's going the wrong way. Hang on, before I get all excited. got to go that way, doesn't it? It's kind of going how I want it to. If I was going to weld it on upside down, it would be the way I want it, but yeah, not quite. I'm going to keep sort of trying to flatten this down and yeah, see how we go. Okay, so made the executive decision. I'm gonna start trimming this down and see what happens. Still not sure if this is going to work, but using the accurate DMAC Customs method of hand crank on the fingers, almost got it straight. Right, I'm going to do this. Okay, so we're I think we're kind of onto something. Again, it's not the same profile that the original channel is, but you know, if I can put the, they call it window weather stuff. I can never remember what it's called. It pops into my head and then it's gone again. You know, the windlace. You know, the windlace material can sort of sit in it and then you can pinch it up, you know, and kind of grab it, which is kind of what I'm hoping for. Still a little bit uneven and whatnot, but a little bit more tuning up and dialing it in might be alright. It's a little bit off the end there. I'll do a little bit more dialing in and then we'll kind of come back. Okay, the trickiest part is this curve here. So I'm not 100% sure how well it's going to go. I could maybe pie cut it and weld it. I'm trying to do it like a cold beam. Actually, I could put some heat on it and see if it would stretch the back side of it. Still needs to go. Around there. That's the apex there. Try a bit of heat. Okay, so a little bit of heat got my curve, but it also closed up all my my inner parts, but that might not be the end of the world. Not bad. They've got a bit of a curve in it that way, so they need to straighten it a bit. Sweet. Still a bit warm, but it's not bad. Now, I'll figure out how to open up my channel again. And a little bit of a curve in there. Still needs a bit more in there. Still got a bit of a curve in there, I think needs to be a bit flatter. She's close, wheat, she's close. Yeah, I want to try and open that channel up again and see. I'm sure I had a screwdriver over here, but maybe not. Gonna try and pry that open a little bit gently without straightening it and stuff. A bit of re-mill. Slippy floor. Okay, so thought I'd just come over here and have a bit of a look-see and see how this is going to land in here. Hopefully you can see. But if that's down there, so that's got to come up to there. It's still too long at the top at the mow. I can't remember whether it sits proud of that or whether it sits flush with that on the other side, but I suppose we can get that into position. So it's going to sit, I think it sits kind of flush with it. That's going to hit my relay there now, of course. That screw hole, yeah, so it sits kind of flush. I don't think they ever fit like perfectly snug sort of thing, but I think my next move now is to kind of cut this old Scody one off that plate there, make some repairs to that plate that I need to do, cut the bottom off it, weld a new piece on. What is it? So it's got a little fold-in channel and shit in it too. Of course, probably doesn't need to. I mean, they did it a certain way from the factory for a reason, but do I have to try and make another fold like that in another piece of steel? You know what I'm saying? Could I just, I don't know, I'll start picking this apart and see what we come up with, see what we have to do. Okay, so because it is so Scody, I kind of don't want to go flying into it with the you know, aggressive tools straight away. So I'm just going to see if I can kind of break this little spot welds that are holding everything on here. That's a good way to chip a bone off your hip. Okay, that actually worked kind of better than I thought it was going to, so that's a win. Okay, so what can I get away with down here? This piece of steel here, if I'd actually run that bead out to the edge there, it would have been perfect. Would have almost been the right piece. Could still be, if I get lazy. Shitty on there, so Might just get the die grinder out and roll lock on it, clean it up a bit and see how bad it gets. Okay, so at that hole there is where it really starts breaking down, so I really need to go from there down, make a new piece. Yep. I was thinking it'd be nice to do TIG welding and stuff like that, but I think this is going to be a MIG welding little exercise, mainly because there's so much kind of surface rust and shit on here. Without sandblasting, it's going to pull all that crap into whatever I try to weld. Okay, so I did just end up using this piece. I just extended that little crease a wee bit and made a wee fold in it, just essentially hammered it over a piece of 3mm core 10. I haven't cut that side down yet because I'm going to weld it onto this before I do that. So now I've just got to mark it, and then I can cut that, or just cut it using that as my guide. I'll do that, I think. Yeah. Safety gear. Okay, so this is super thin though, so welding it's not going to be exceptional. That's why I was kind of hoping to TIG weld it, but I think I'll be on the MIG for this one. Okay, so got my MIG turned down to about as low as it can go, so I don't hopefully blow this into bits. Okay, it welded a little bit warped, so I just got to kind of clean that up and see if we can make it look a little bit less welded, you know what I'm saying? Not that you're going to be able to see any of it, I don't think. No, probably not, but still I'll try and make it look as nice as I can within my skill set and patience level, you know. Okay, so I've just marked my bit that I've got to cut off of there, so I'll just get that zipped out of there. Okay, so something I didn't film, but I was mucking around cleaning up my little welds, and then I kind of split it. It hadn't actually welded very well, you know, so I set about welding it a bit more from the other side, blew a hole through it, and so now my welds aren't quite as nicely finished as they appeared to be earlier. But right now I'm going to go and have some lunch because I'm getting my hungry on, and yeah, before I kind of stitch that onto those channel onto the other channel thing. So yeah, back in a wee bit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the MIG and just kind of MIG, like stitch like every couple of inches apart, rather than try to replicate the little kind of tiny sort of spot welds, because they're just not really going to happen, I don't think. I don't know how they were done from factory. They must have had some special little sort of fine tongue sort of spot welder type of thing. So I'm trying to decide whether to weld them from the front or the back. I might do them from the back actually. I think they're going to be more obscured if I do that. Kind of got this pretty good. It's a little bit wonky in that up there, the opening, but I'm thinking once we put the weather strip, fuzzy, you know, the stuff in there and kind of pinch it up, it should be fine, you know, because it's going to get kind of pinched up into that anyway, or jammed in there somehow, glued in, covered up with kind of the fabric of the what is that stuff called? You know, the black stuff. It just keeps going. Anyway, I'll get set up on the welder and figure out the best way to kind of get this into position and start kind of tacking it in. I think the best way is going to be just to sort of hold it and tack it and see what happens. Almost blew a snot booger that bubble in. So that's tacked on. We'll go and have a look in the car now. Alright, so just trying to line up the kind of one reference hole that I have got. The other one's kind of obscured, and the third one I haven't drilled yet. We're pretty close. I'm still going to have to do a bit more sort of tweaking and bending up the top there. Maybe a little bit more kind of grinding here and there, but I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll go ahead and get that sort of stitched a little bit more. I kind of boogered up the bottom, but yeah, you know, and then I'll flush them out, just flatten them down so they're not sitting proud. So I'll just yeah, chuck that up on there. Okay, so don't laugh. That's some of the worst tack welding I've ever done. Just, you know, sometimes when you get that tack weld thing, it just goes and they just go nice and neat and stuff. Man, I missed the gap and all sorts of shit. Didn't blow through any of them, but I was getting a little bit of gas getting blown away. But I'm so out of practice, I haven't been doing much welding at all lately, so you know, you've got to keep it fresh, but they'll be right. I mean, they're going in this gap here, you're not going to see them. You might notice I've cut that out. That's to clearance that relay and wiring and stuff. So now I need to, that hole there lines up. That kind of tells me how it's supposed to sit, but so I need to do a bit of work with that now. get my big melon in the way. So that's got to go like in there. That'll be screwed down tight there. So tweak it back just a little bit. So I'm just going to get a pick that I can put in. Just put this in here as my hole locator. There. Bit more bendy there. There. Alright, I need to remove the little tab that welds on the top, so I can then see how that lands. Like this piece here. Yeah, so that does push it forward, eh? So if that's in there like that, it kind of brings that to the front edge sort of thing. So we're not really in quite the right shape yet, but we're getting close. And if that's sitting there, it's this bit here actually that it feels like it's too far out. I wonder if I should actually just put a screw in there, because that'll pull it in. I feel a paint scratch coming on. I wonder if I do need to trim a little bit off the bottom of that just to make it less kind of a pain in the ass, because that's still like the factory length, so I'll just trim a little bit off that. I need to figure out where I need to trim my new piece down to. So that's in there, and my original one sitting in where it's supposed to go. Just got to use a China graph pencil, so that's my marker line there. And if we position this in where it's supposed to go, approximately, there's the hole about there. So that's where I've got to cut it down to, which is not great. It's weird, it doesn't want to go far enough back. Anyway, I'll cut that down, and then we'll I'll cut that down, and then we'll figure out how to scratch the paint again and remove that and weld it on. So that's at the end there. So I'll cut that down first. Oh, it's getting hot. Okay, so next up is to weld that back on there like that. So it's just going to be a little bit of a hold and tack kind of job again, I think. Helps if you actually turn your helmet on. Fortunately the nozzle was obscuring it, so we shouldn't be doing this over the bin. Smoking. Okay, so that's that welded. I've just got to grind down that last one, which got a bit blobbish. Hopefully nothing else is on fire. Okay, so just spent the last couple of minutes looking for the camera. Like, I probably should make it fluorescent or some colour that it's not common in the garage, like dark grey camera, grubby dark garage. It gets lost quite quickly, even in here. But anyway, I found it. Oh, now I'm just sitting on this piece that I just finished making. I'm going to screw it in so I can sort of get a better idea of what tweakage I need to do up the top still. It's pretty close, or close enough, but I do need to drill another hole or two in here to screw it into, so we'll get that underway. Start seeing if my screws are long enough. Get screwdriver. Oh, hopefully my top hole, oh, it doesn't line up. Oh, no. Oh, okay, now you're asking for trouble. Okay, right. Now where are we? I need some light. Okay, so she's close. So these screws are so short. The interior kit didn't have any longer, well, it has longer ones, but not enough of them. Not tight, but yes, I don't like the way that sits out here. I'm thinking I might drill a new hole. That can... Alright, so I ended up going and putting the other side on just to kind of get a better understanding of what it should look like, since that one is all good and this one's not so much. Down here, kind of happy with how that sort of fits. It is still hanging up on that relay, I think, at the moment, so I do need to bend that out a little bit more, and the welds from that brace as well in the bottom there, and the brace itself. I did try to pull that metal out around that relay, but just kind of uglied it up a little bit. So getting here's good, here not so much. I'm just wondering if I can, you know, kind of push that back. I've got much adjustment with that hole there that I just drilled. Ended up drilling a new hole up here. Can push it back a bit. Oh, it wants to push forward when I tighten it up. There's no washer on there though. But I wonder if I can hammer and chisel. Is probably all right. Like once the windlace is in there, you're not even really going to see it. It's just a little bit wonky. I'd rather try and get it as flush in there as possible. So I'll just try a little bit of this massage technique. Still sits out proud. Now if I after sort of flaring those back out, when I come to fit the windlace, I hammer it in from the inside to the out. Might not be too bad. It's just still sitting a bit higher than I'd like right there. Like I say though, I don't think it's really going to matter, but still, you know. So when you get this jammed in there, it's going to look somewhat like that-ish, maybe. Yeah, something like that. So it's close, man. Like it's real close. Hole was further back. Push it further in, maybe. What's that? Oh, it's a little control module. Or is that good enough? Oh, she's so close. Let me ponder this a bit. I'm just sitting here whinging about how close it is when it could actually be alright. Alright, so I've got that sitting further back. I ended up taking that screw there out, pushing it in, drilling a new hole further back into here. Hopefully there's no wiring that I hit back there. No, that all goes down the way. Phew, I think. Yeah, solved the problem with the relay. I just kind of pushed it and bent the tab, so that's all good. Yeah, so that worked pretty well. These, again, this screw kit that I got with the 51, because this is I'm getting screws out of the interior kit, which is, you know, great. There's about 4,000 screws and washers and all sorts of shit in there. I have no idea what any of them are for, and which is kind of part of the problem. So I found the biggest, like I thought these might be machine screws, like threaded, but then they're not. They're just like a big self tapper. Well, looking at the old holes, you know, and so I just started looking for self tappers and where I'd have the right number, but none of them were big enough, like thick enough sort of thing. Like they are, but they aren't. They are grabbing, but like that top one over there is spinning, number 2 is spinning. So they could have just been flogged out holes and should have bigger hardware in them again. But yeah, and even I actually put a different screw in here. See, that one's loose. That one's a slightly smaller gauge of screw, but it was longer, I think. Yeah, so that was a longer one to get through the double layers. Now that I've got that thing in there, I can probably go to like these little shorties, slightly fatter. And you know, we've got other countersunk stuff, other little shorties, too small. I thought it was these machine screws, but nah, I don't know what they're for. These will be like door hinges, armrests. Other countersunk things in there. Then these big butty ones, which I think are probably for the sound deadening stuff that used to be on the firewall. I have no idea what half of this shit's for. So these will probably be for the upper garnish mouldings, same with these maybe, but the rest of it, it's a bit of a mystery, man. So I'm just gonna see if that little shorty's gonna reach in there now, because that's that little bit thicker. Oh yeah, okay, that'll do us. I don't want to over tighten it. So anyway, made a thing, and I think it'll work. So what I might do with those, I'm trying to decide what kind of to do, since the garnish mold, the windlace is black. I'm thinking I might just end up painting those black, because I do think, I'm not sure, but I had this little revelation earlier that I think the back side of that helps hold the kick panel in, which is probably going to be tricky because I've got wiring and that all running up through there now, so I'm going to have to make up some other kind of idea for kick panels somehow. Not quite sure how, but we'll figure something out. We've got a fair bit of room widthways, so I can maybe make something that kind of has a bit of kick out in it, so we have room for that, and then somehow try and tag into these areas. I don't know, we'll figure it out though. Yeah, one step at a time, and today's step is this. But the problem, you know, with thinking one step at a time is you do really need to be about 4 steps ahead, because I really should have looked at this stuff earlier, you know, before I painted stuff. Oh, that didn't scratch it, that's just a mucky mark, you know. Anyway, I'll put some tools away and probably pull these back out and put some paint on them. Okay, so got my wattle, duplicolor rust fix. I'm going to give this one, I'll give them both a bit of a squirt with it. This one here is the actual good one, but it's got more kind of surface rust and that on it because, well, we cut most of it off the other one, you know what I'm saying. So I'm just going to give that a light dusting and get down into that channel. Know what I'm saying. Now leave that to dry off. Give this one a little bit of a spritz as well in the original bits. Don't have to worry about the new stuff so much. Okay, so I'll let that dry off the recommended 4 minutes, I think it was. I don't know how much it is. The dry time is. It's probably something ridiculous like 24 hours or something like that. I can't read it. Letters are too small. So it must be 4 minutes. So I'll let that go off for 4 minutes, and then I'm going to get some wattle rust fix primer on there. Give them a bit of a prime, and then I want to get some gloss black on there today as well, so they can be drying off, you know what I'm saying. So all this is in kind of lead up to being able to put, you know, the headliner in and the windlace. I remembered windlace. The other thing I have to do before I can do that is, what are you looking at, is tack strip. Now last video we talked about tack strip, which I have been investigating, and we talked about, I think I showed you these bits of rubber that I'd had in the back room there. So I cut a strip off and, you know, did some staple tests on that, and it worked pretty good. And then whilst we was cleaning out the wife's Corolla, which is now my Corolla because I sold the shitbox Mazda, so now I've been demoted to a Corolla, but it's a good little car. We found this in the back. Now I don't know what it's from. It's kind of got a sticky side on one side, and you can see it's if you look at the end, it's kind of got 2 different types of kind of foam stuff on there. When you staple from this side, it doesn't really grab it that well, but if you staple from this side, this blacker stuff is kind of quite different, so it kind of actually, the staple pulls into that better. So I'm going to experiment with that a little bit more and see whether I can make some tack strip out of that to replace it's more kind of around the rear quarter windows in this area here. I need something. I don't think it goes down the front there. I don't think so, no, because the garnish moulding goes in there, and then we've got the rubbery tack strip there. So I think it's just kind of along there that area to replace this stuff. See, this is like a kind of weird cardboardy kind of bitumen-y kind of stuff. I'm not really too sure what it is, but it could have been a cardboardy stuff once upon a time, but now it's just this brittle stuff, you know. And there's a couple of bits around the back screen as well, which I'll just kind of patch up, because I think the main stuff is not too bad there, but the bits above the quarter windows in the back here are pretty much cooked. And yeah, so I'm going to cut some strips of all of that and figure out if I can make that work. Know what I'm saying? So while I'm waiting for paint to dry, I'll cut some strips of foamy stuff. Only needs to be about, what's that, about a 1/2 inch or whatever. So that's got little notches cut out of it for that. That's interesting. I wonder if I should do that as well. And I'm going to have to try and pull out all these staples that are curled around the back of that thing as well. Good times. Really fun pulling out all those staples and stuff without breaking the windows. Alrighty, so just been and picked all of that stuff out of the what do you call it? A tack strip from around those quarter windows there, and all the what do you call it again? God, it's getting really hot. I'm probably dehydrated. Where's my water? And the tack strip staples, and taking the staples out and putting the hammer back, and I've just put some primer on these two pieces here, so they're all primed up. Just gotta wait for them to dry. It won't take long for them to dry because it's hot. So I'll cut some of this stuff. So this is the two different types of tack strip. I kept a couple of examples to show you. This is the kind of cardboardy looking one. It's quite black on the inside, but it's kind of, I think they're both made from pretty much the same thing, but this is just like a, you know, 10mm by 10mm kind of piece that goes in some different spots. So I'm going to cut strips of that, and I'll cut strips of that out of that and see where that takes us. Okay, so I'm just using my speed square, because look at this. If it sits on there, it kind of, it's good, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going to start sawing through these, 2 down, maybe get 3 more strips out of this piece. Okay, so that's the first coat of black on the windlass holder on a thingy. That one looks a bit more kind of beat up because it's been worked on, if you know what I mean, but it'll be fine. Don't you worry your pretty little head about it. So I just got to let that tack off for 10-15 minutes, and then I'll give it another coat. And yeah, then she'll be just left to dry somewhere. I'll put them somewhere out of the way where I'm unlikely to crash into them. Well, paint to dry, I thought I'd just give this a little bit of a Scotch-Brite just to clean off any scody stuff, the areas that it's gonna get glued on. And there's a bit there, and a little bit in that corn. So this stuff here I think will still be alright. It's still pretty, for the most part, in there. So I'm just going to put some little patches in there, just repair it. It's still pretty hard, like the original stuff. It's held up pretty good for all these years, so might as well stick with it. These bits here, they're just all kind of held in with these tabs, but I might glue in a piece just up in there, because you know what I'm saying? Okay, so just working my way around my little gluing in project, since it's the messiest and not the funnest part. Putting some glue on, pressing it up, pulling it back down, putting more glue on, getting caught in little glue spider webs, rubbing it around with my finger, rubbing it around up there, and then leave it for a little bit to go and do its gluey thing, you know what I mean. Oh, Jesus, a little bit more back on there. Just using F2, it's contact adhesive. Pretty grunty stuff, but it's fumey and kind of messy to apply, if you know what I mean. So being in enclosed space, it's not the idealist. Now that that's been sitting for a little bit, you can stick that up in there. Yep. Pop all the little bubbles. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Awkward. I'm just going to run it just a bit shorter where that is a screw that comes through. It's part of the window track. Just want it not quite to get to that. I'll put it up on there. Put glue on both contact surfaces, then go whoosh, like that. Now I'll let that one tack off. That's somewhere safe. I'll probably stick this one up in here now. That's my phone ringing and then stopping. Sure he's going to ring back. And that one, there's one that comes down to around about here. That one got away from me a little bit. Of course it did. I'll just sit that there for a minute and wipe some up. And take that back off. Spread it around. And stick into my fingers. Uh-oh. Got it all over my fingers, so everything I touch now feels like it's sticky. So that's the all the skinnier kind of tack strip stuff in. This is too thick. Right. Might have to try a few different sizes. I've got a couple of skinnier ones. Oh, that's better. So, I wonder how far down it needs to come, because it starts again there. If I bring it down lower, can I shave a bit off it? Down in there. Where's my hammer? Get my that'll do us. Now, need to do a piece up to there. This is feeling dangerous. Feeling like I'm gonna slip and cut myself. So that bit can go in like that. Get it around the corner. Hammer that down. Just like that. And I suppose we could glue that little piece in there. So if I cut that, do the old glue thing again. Know what I mean? Like that. Like, yeah, like that. Get a bit on the inside, pull it back off, let it tack off now. I've been and cleaned all the glue off my fingers, and you know what I'm saying. That up in there. The tab over. Should be good. Here's the tack going on this. Alright. Yeah. There's one more bit on each side that I need to look into, which is down the A pillar. And I think it matches up with some of the factory stuff right there. It goes like so, maybe. But I might have to glue it as well, because I think some of the tabs might have got cut off. Don't know who did that. Cutting stuff off when you're doing a roof chop because you don't know what it is. Alright, so glued on there, as well as I'll use the tabs that are there. Oh, I didn't really leave enough time for that to cure up. Oh. Okay, we'll just have to give it a minute and I'll glue that on and then we'll be back. Okay, so that's all my tack strip in all the way around, all my upper fixed up, all the missing bits that were missing from moving the B pillar. Got stuff down the A pillar on both sides, the little repairs and that in the back there. Hopefully that's all good. I think it should be. And then yeah, totally replaced with this stuff up in here. Seems to be gluing in alright. I had a bit of trouble gluing in that little bit up the top there. It's not like a nice flat kind of basin for it to glue into, so it just kind of keeps sucking all the glue off the rubber and leaving it all behind in the thingamabob, you know, the little basin hole. What's that piece sitting up there? Did I not stick it in? Oh, I didn't. Unless it fell out. It might be alright. Might have left it too long. Yeah. Oh, she's alright. Sweet. So you can leave it for a while. Yeah. Okay, so that's where we're going to close the door on this episode of DMAC Customs on the YouTube on the Area 51 project. Another couple of little jobs knocked out. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with, you know, that thing when I found out I had one really kind of roached out one. I did think, oh, do you really need them? And then as the adventure's gone on, I kind of did discover I kind of do need those to tidy up that side dash part, you know, with the windlace. You know, it's starting to stick. I'll probably forget it at the time I come to install it. But yeah, so got those dressed up, ready to go. That one, you know, repaired obviously. This is, you know, our chunks that we kind of cut out of it, so there wasn't a whole lot left of some parts of it, and yeah, garbage down the bottom, but it should work. It's not as nice obviously as the original ones would have been, but it should hold that windlace in, and the windlace will kind of hide my fabrication sins, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so it's hot, man. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's hot. What was I going to say? Yeah, so that's where, yeah, we're leaving this one. As always, thanks heaps for watching. Head over to dmaccustoms.com if you're interested in some Area 51 merch, or there's a bomb truck t-shirt on there and hoodies and stuff, and they're pretty sick, like in a good way, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, get into your merch, and as usual, we're on Facebook and the Instagram, and most importantly here on the YouTube, week in, week out, making some video, not, you know, not just lollygagging about doing bugger all, making a car in a mess, and sweat, and blood, and tears. But yeah, so, I don't know, next week, cool, I could have a crack at putting that headliner in. I think I've kind of got everything done. I just don't know, I might have to do a bit of homework on it. I don't know kind of the order, quite how to finish it above the doors. I kind of got a good idea around the back windows and stuff like that, how it works, sort of. But I'm just not sure how to do the windlace and the headliner part together, what order things go in. Know what I'm saying? Anyway, I might do a bit of research on that. And yeah, so leave it at that. Till next time, take it easy and peace. Thanks for watching if I haven't already said that sort of stuff. And subscribe. Don't forget, subscribe. Most importantly, helps us out.